Father Kicanas.
Madam Chairman, I am Bishop Gerald Kicanas.
The microphone. Very good. Thank you.
I am Bishop Gerald Kicanas, the Bishop of Tucson, Arizona, and Vice President of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. And I testify today on behalf of the U.S. Catholic Bishops. I would like to thank you, Madam Chairman, as well as our ranking member, Steve King, for holding this hearing today on so critical an issue and inviting me to testify. I appreciate it. Madam Chairman, in my written testimony, I outline at length what I and the Catholic bishops are convinced is the just and effective public policy needed for repairing our broken immigration system. I would like to emphasize this morning what I and my fellow bishops think are some of the ethical and moral issues in this debate confronting our elected officials and our nation. The immigration issue is often dissected in terms of the economic, social, or legal impacts on our nation. What is not often acknowledged, and frankly is sometimes dismissed, is that immigration is ultimately a humanitarian issue, since it impacts the basic rights and dignity of millions of persons and their families. As such, it has moral implications, especially how it impacts the basic survival and decency of life experienced by human beings like us. Madam Chairman, our current immigration system fails to meet the moral test of protecting the basic rights and dignity of the human person. As the bishop who oversees the diocese along the whole of the Arizona-Mexico border, the epicenter of migrant movement, I witnessed the human consequences of our broken immigration system in my diocese's social service programs, hospitals, schools, and parishes. Regularly, anxious and troubled immigrants come to ask our priests, employees for assistance for a loved one, a parent who has been detained, a child who has lost a parent, or tragically a family member who has lost a loved one in the harsh Arizona desert. We strive as best we can, realizing that unless we change the laws which apply to immigration, we are only providing a Band-Aid to this situation. Because of a broken system, immigrant families are being separated. Migrant workers are subject to exploitation by unscrupulous employers, and those attempting to find work by coming north are being abused and taken advantage of by human smugglers. It is shocking to realize that about 5,000 men, women, and children have died in the desert since 1998. One such victim was Jocelyn Hernandez, age 14, from El Salvador. Her and her 9-year-old brother were attempting to reunite with their mother in California when they became lost in the desert. Jocelyn became dehydrated and survived for 4 days until she died. She was found on the 12th day. Jocelyn's story, sadly, is being repeated far too often along our Arizona border. Madam Chairman, the overwhelming majority of migrants coming to the United States come not for nefarious purposes, but to either find work, to support their families, or to join their loved ones. Once here, they do contribute their work and skills to our country. Yet on their way north, and while in our country, they and their families often are subject to the dangers and abuses that I have mentioned. This is a situation from a humanitarian and ethical standpoint that needs to be addressed. From a moral perspective, as a nation, we cannot accept the toil and taxes of immigrants without providing them protection of law. Let me address the issue of the rule of law, which is a flashpoint in the debate, and to which many immigration reform opponents point in arguing against legal status for the undocumented. The U.S. Conference wholeheartedly agrees the rule of law is paramount, and that those who break the law should be held accountable. As our testimony points out, comprehensive immigration reform would honor the rule of law and help restore it by requiring 11 million undocumented to pay a fine, pay back taxes, learn English, and get in the back of the line. We believe that this is a proportionate penalty. Let me also address the issue of border security, the topic of much discussion recently, especially in our own state of Arizona. Church teaching acknowledges and upholds the right of a nation to control its borders. It is our view that the best way to secure our southern border is through immigration reform. We have spent $100 billion on immigration, border, and interior enforcement. The Border Patrol in the Tucson and Yuma sectors, whose work I deeply respect, are trying their best to address this difficult situation. And I'll close there.
Thank you very, very much. Dean Staver, would be delighted to hear from you.
Madam Chairman, thank you. Distinguished members of Congress for inviting me to address this important issue of immigration. I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, a national legal organization, policy, and education organization. I also serve as dean and professor of law at Liberty University School of Law. Liberty University is the largest Christian university in the world with over 62,000 students coming from 74 countries. I also meet with and chair an organization called the Freedom Federation that represents some of the nation's largest multi-ethnic, multiracial, and multi-generational organizations representing over 40 million people in America. The crisis that the country is facing in Arizona is a symptom and a cry for help. It is an example of our failed immigration policy. However, the Constitution places the responsibility for immigration on the federal government, not on the states. Therefore, it is imperative that Congress act sooner than later to reform our immigration system. It is a matter of national security, domestic tranquility, and national identity. While upholding the rule of law, we must devise a system that is compassionate and just. The immigration debate does not belong to a political party or any socio-economic or ethnic group. It is, in my opinion, a moral issue. We should not allow partisan politics or the difficulty of crafting a solution deter us from the ultimate goal of fixing a broken system. We must secure our borders, enforce our laws, and then we must deal with the undocumented immigrants who are currently living within our borders. On the national security issue, this is a national security and a domestic tranquility issue. It depends upon secure borders. Secure borders are not closed borders. Violent criminals and drug traffickers take advantage of open borders. Such criminals are a threat to everyone in every community. We must also enforce our laws against those who knowingly employ undocumented immigrants, those who entice them to come here illegally, and those who take advantage of them once they cross the border. Regarding the undocumented immigrants currently living in the United States, there are essentially three solutions: amnesty, deportation, or earned legal status. Amnesty, in my view, flaunts the rule of law, rewards those who break the law, and is a disservice to those who are and have worked their way through the naturalization process. I am opposed to amnesty. Mass deportation, however, is impractical, immoral, and unjust. Many undocumented children have come here with their parents. Some children are naturalized citizens, having been born in America, yet their parents remain undocumented. Deportation in these and many other circumstances would rip families apart, which no fair-minded American wants to do. While undocumented felons or those who have committed violent crimes in America should be deported, we should invite the millions of undocumented and otherwise law-abiding persons living in the midst to come out of the shadows by providing them with an opportunity to gain legal status. The opportunity for earned legal status should involve a program of legalization, subject to appropriate penalties, waiting periods, background checks, evidence of moral character, a commitment to the full participation in American society through an understanding of the English language, an understanding and affirmation of the rights and duties of citizens and the structure of the government, and an embrace of the American values. We must create a rational and just immigration policy, which acknowledges that we are both a nation of immigrants and a nation of laws. A just policy would put otherwise law-abiding persons on one of three paths. One path leads to pursuing earned legal citizenship or legal residency. One leads to acquiring legal guest worker status, and one leads back across the border, including a swift process for deportation of undocumented felons or violent offenders. A just immigration policy respects the traditions held by the people of many backgrounds that make up America, while recognizing the importance of a shared language, history, and cultural values. Those who choose legal citizenship should have the opportunity to fully participate in the American dream by removing any barriers to achieving those dreams. Let me be very clear. An earned pathway to legal status is not amnesty. I reject amnesty. And I call upon those who label an earned pathway to legal status as amnesty to stop politicizing this debate needlessly and to honestly acknowledge the difference. The time to forge a national consensus is now. America is a country of immigrants, a melting pot of individuals from various ethnicities and cultures. America deserves a just immigration policy, one that begins with securing, not closing, the borders, one that enforces our laws, and one that offers an opportunity for earned legal status. The overwhelming attraction of America is her freedom. As the world's standard bearer for freedom, America's light shines as a hope for those around the world. We must never quench the torch of liberty. We must always stand for the freedom that makes our shores the object of desire for people without hope. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dean.